Okay, it's Friday, February 19, 2021, and welcome to Class 1 of Sigils and Symbols for Magical Use. I'm joined with good friends Cassie and Heather and Stevana, and we're going to talk about all kinds of sigils. Let me first start out by giving a list of resources. There's three books in particular that I use for a lot of my research into sigils. Hang on, I'm going to grab one other thing. What did I do with it? Yeah, like my outline. There's my outline. And I don't have my outline, but that's okay. I think I remember. Okay, this first class is going to be an introduction to sigils, what they're used for, and we will take a look at some of the more common pagan and Wiccan symbols that are used commonly, and sigils for the elements. Next week, we will take a look at sigils that have to do with astrology. So these are planetary things that represent the stars, the zodiac signs. We'll concentrate on those. And then week 3, we will focus on runes, and we will have a guest teacher for that. I'm very excited that Roots Changing Moon has agreed to do our third class on runes because she is a runes master, and I really respect everything that she has to say. So I'm excited about her coming to teach that class. Yeah. Trying to remember third and fourth and fifth. I think one of them is going to be on alphabets. What kind of alphabets? One of them I can't remember because I don't have my outline in front of me. And then the last one will be sigil creation. That'll be a lot of fun. That's going to be more of a workshop because we get to create and we get to do things. It'll be fun. No. Okay, books. So my main resource books. The first one is Practical Sigil Magic by Frater U.D. He's German, so this is a translation. It says creating personal symbols for success, and he's got a picture of a piece of paper with a sigil that he has created on it, and that's kind of where we're heading, is in that direction. This is a really good book. He's got a lot of philosophy of what sigils are for. He follows a type of magical practice called pragmatism that has to do with a lot of real world applications. I like that about this. So this is a good book. Probably the best known book, and I really respect this author so much. I follow her on Facebook. She's always doing amazing things with sigils. She has amazing sigils that she's created, and that is Laura Tempest Zarkoff, and it's her book Sigil Witchery. Zakroff. I always mispronounce her name. Laura Tempest Zakroff. Sigil Witchery. A lot of her book is about creation, so we will use a lot more of it then. This is called A Witch's Guide to Crafting Magical Symbols. She also has created a series of sigils that she used recently for a 7-fold spell of magical resistance, like for justice. That I do have handy. So, like, here's an example of symbols that she created. Can you see those? Mm-hmm. And the different meanings for them. And those were inscribed on a candle. And so you burn the candle down that much to cover it. I used a taper candle. I did this. It has to do with destroying white supremacy, eroding ignorance, ending police brutality, remove the bureaucracy that supports unjust laws, and so on. So this is a magical working, and these are sigils that she created. So she's amazing. I like a lot of her work. Okay, and another book that it's kind of like an encyclopedia for all kinds of things. It's called The Woman's Dictionary of Symbols and Sacred Objects. Kind of a great big monster book, but it's kind of like, it's an encyclopedia. It's got all kinds of stuff in here, and some are symbols, and just objects and drawings and um, um, pictures of animals and birds and you know, some of them are mythological pictures. I don't know if you can see that's kind of a dragon. Doesn't look like a traditional dragon, but anyway, so that's a compendium of all that sort of stuff. There's a couple other articles, and I will share those in the group. I'll write like a follow-up post, and I'll share a couple articles. One is from one of my favorite authors on learnreligions.com. Her name is Patty Wigington. I use a lot of her articles for our realm classes. She has an article called Magical, Pagan, and Wiccan Symbols, and it just goes over some of the basic ones. And then there's another article that I use called Sympathetic Magic. We'll talk about that in a moment, but on a website called Wikipedia. Who thought of that? Okay, we will deal a lot in this course with sympathetic magic. So we need to start there and talk about what that is. Basically, what that is, it's using an object to represent your desire. For example, suppose you want to attract money or to increase your wages. You could set up a cup of coins on your altar or a dollar bill and maybe put up a picture of Lakshmi, who's the Hindu goddess of prosperity. And so that's a little bit like spell work, but so what that is, it represents your desire and your action, because we know that you can't just say, oh, I want this and something's going to happen. That's not how it works. So you definitely want to have your own action. So your desire and your action are represented. The items are symbolic of the actions that you'll take to make that happen. However, we're going to take a look at the dollar bill for a minute, because this in itself is a very powerful talisman with sigils on it, like all over it. It has words, numbers, seals, and signatures, but it's a piece of paper. It's just a piece of paper. However, it represents a lot more. It's an amount of currency that can be used to purchase something. It has worth because it was issued by the Department of Treasury. So you can think of the Department of Treasury, and the signatures are from the Secretary of the Treasury and the Treasurer of the United States, two different people. And they have signed it because they have put their signature, which is a sigil, as our initials. Those are like signatures. It represents you. Because they have put their signatures on this, it has gained worth. And there's a lot of symbolism because this is an official currency of the United States of America. So you have a lot of imagery on there that represents the country. For example, you have on the front, you have a seal that says that it's a Federal Reserve note, and it has a letter L, which means that it's of a certain series. So it's a certain group of dollar bills. Then there's another, and this is a seal over here that has a shield in it. Okay, if you have your dollar bill handy, you can look at that. You'd have to kind of blow it up to see what it means. There's numbers, there's kind of a design, there's the statements on there, there's the signatures. Now the back is where it gets interesting. Okay, so on the back we have these two. This is called the Great Seal of the United States. So you have the front over here, and you have the back, the reverse side. There's a lot of symbolism here. You've got the eagle, and in the eagle's talons, it's holding 13. Oh, we lost Heather, and we're getting her back. In one talons, it's got 13 arrows, and the other, it's got 13 leaves on an olive branch. Well, symbols. Okay, olive branch, peace. Arrows represents war. So in war and peace, the United States is one entity. There's also a cloud above the eagle with 13 stars that's said to be like a constellation. Okay, 13. Now, a lot of people think that 13 is an unlucky number, but we know that the United States started with 13 colonies. Okay, so that is a special significance to the United States of America. Then on this side, this is what I really find interesting. We have a pyramid and then an eye, and then some Latin phrases over that, which I did not look up, but these are all signifiers that have to do with some of it has to do with history. If you look up the Great Seal on Wikipedia, wow, it's really fascinating, the history of how all that came together. A lot of people think that the eye is a Masonic eye, goes back to the Masonic order. It's actually not connected to that, but a lot of people have thought it did. But anyway, it's a talisman. It represents something. In itself, it's a piece of paper. But with all the stuff that's on there, and it's even with it's made of a very specific kind of paper. You can't just use any old paper for this. This is very special. So that's an example of a talisman. So a talisman is an object bearing symbols. Now, it can be made of paper, wood, metal, stone, anything that you can etch, any kind of surface that you can etch on. In the Shinto religion, talisman are often used at shrines, the Shinto shrines in Japan. They're called ofuda. And a lot of people in their windows have a little bell that kind of dingles in the breeze with a paper streamer. And the paper streamer has writing on it, has like the characters on it. And that may mean good fortune or happiness or joy or long life. And the fact that the wind makes that bell tinkle and the streamer flutters in the breeze, that is said to draw those attributes to the house. That is a talisman. So the magical part is how it is used. And so we're going to talk a little bit more about the sympathetic magic. Now, we already know that words have power. If you say the word love, right there, you've got power. If you say harm, that's destructive power. You can think of a lot more. So sympathetic magic is creating something with meaning that is used to represent your desire. The talisman, in a way, becomes you. You may choose to put it on an altar. I have some here that I have. Cassie will recognize this one because we just did this in the last new moon. I have the moon was in Pisces, so we've got the symbol for Pisces. This is a stylized form of my initials, so that represents me. And this is the symbol, the magical symbol for water. And the sigil inside there happens to do with a certain star that had to do with that time of the month. So those are sigils, and this became a talisman. And on the back, I had written some intentions. So that's basically what we're working toward. But there's all kinds of sigils, and that's what we want to focus on. Okay. So basically, we're talking about power-packed drawings. Drawings on paper or etched or burned in wood or etched in stone, whatever, to imbue meaning to them. So what is a symbol? It's a drawing that holds a specific meaning. If you know anything about the history of language, all of the letters in our language have come from an original character and originated with drawings. Some languages have alphabets that are closer to the original drawings, like the Japanese and Chinese characters. They call them pictographs and other names, and they are similar to drawings too. But a lot of them have come from original drawings. Well, okay, what kind of meanings do they have? Well, when you see a cross, you think of Christianity or Jesus. When you see a pentacle, You think of witchcraft or paganism. It represents a concept, an idea, or an entire system, okay? A cross. Wow, there's like a whole history of Christianity and systems built into that one symbol. It's massive. A pentacle, the same way. All the history of everyone who's worshipped nature throughout the ages, encapsulated in that one symbol that means so much to us. If you see a heart, you think of love. If you see a dove, you think of peace. So those are drawings that hold a lot of intention and meaning for us. Okay. Okay. Well, sigils have been with us like forever. So I don't want to get a lot into the history because, there's a lot there. We can go back to primitive cave drawings. Cave dwellers would draw the beasts that they hoped to hunt in hopes that the drawing would draw the beast to them, and that would attract them, and then therefore they would have better hunting. You can go to sigils developed in the 17th century. They're called part of the Lesser Key of Solomon. They were used to summon angels and demons, and all the way up to the tons of sigils that people have created and posted on Pinterest. They're all over the place. So there's a lot of sigils. When I go to prepare a talisman, I have to first consider, as you do with all magical workings, you consider your intent. Okay, suppose I want to feel more peaceful. Life is crazy and I need to calm down. That's a good thing after this week, right? Well, I consider a lot of different factors. I might consider a color that represents that. I would immediately think of green or pink because that has to do with the heart chakra. So that I think of that for peace and calm down my heart because maybe my heart's racing. The color may be significant. I would think of the astrological sign. So like we are just today, we are now moved into Pisces from Aquarius for the sun zodiac. So that we might look up that to see if this is a good time to work on that. There's also the sign that the moon may be in. The moon is now we have just moved we're now in Gemini today. I did look it up this morning. So those things are significant, and those symbols might be something that you would inscribe. You want to make it as personal as possible. So things that have meaning to you, I might draw a dove. I might draw a rose or something that gives me an idea that would calm me down. Might think of something other than that. Maybe I would draw a bird, something that would be significant for that. Okay. And I could create my own sigil. And this whole sigil, there's techniques behind sigil creation. We'll get to that in the last class. There's also a psychology behind and a philosophy behind the use of sigils. Now, Frater UD's book goes into talking about a 19th century astrologer and magician called Austin Osman Spare, who was an expert on Aleister Crowley and also was a leader in the Thelemic organization Ordo Templi Orientis, which is part of the Order of the Golden Dawn. So he was a practitioner in what we might call ceremonial magic, and he certainly would have been very familiar with the lesser key and some of those other things. This is his philosophy. It is of no import whether a sigil is the correct one or not, but it is crucial that it has been created by the magician or chosen by the magician and is therefore meaningful to him or her. Because he or she has constructed it or chosen it for personal use, the sigil easily becomes a catalyst of his or her magical desire. And sometimes it will even awaken desire in the first place. So as you're creating, the whole act of creating the talisman in itself and inscribing sigils, it's an active thing. You are actively putting your energy into it. You're holding it. You may even put the warmth of your hands into it. We usually do that during ritual. We hold it and put our warmth of our hands into that. So that is a way of putting ourselves. The talisman is becoming us. So that's a specific philosophy. Okay. I personally, and this is something else that Frater UD mentions in his book, that when you're doing this, I like to put it in, to couch it in the form of doing a ritual. You can just do spell work, but it's important for the working to get yourself into the right frame of mind. And ritual is something that does this very well. You put on what you call the magical mind. Now, there's many ways of doing this. You can do trance work, you can drum, you can chant, you can meditate. Whatever you're doing that takes you out of your mundane, just ordinary mindset and places you in the realm of the magical or the realm of the divine, the sacred. And in doing that, you are putting yourself into the frame of mind to do this magical work. It's a magical mind, it's called. Frater also says that the talisman is, now I normally put it on an altar or I will burn it depending on what the intention is. Sometimes you want to release energy, and if I have the opportunity to go out on the deck and burn it in a cauldron, I will do that. If it's something that I want to be continuous, I will leave it on my altar for a period. So that's why this one is not burned up yet, because it's still working when I put it back on my altar back there. He says that you can, it can even be something that you keep on your person. You could craft it into a piece of jewelry. You could put it in a pocket. You could fold it up and put it in a pocket. You could put it where you would see it. Maybe you put it on your bathroom mirror so that you have to see it frequently. It can even be made into a tattoo. Many people have tattoos with symbols on them that have deep significance to them. Maybe it reminds them of the path that they're on. And every time they see that, they're continuing to reinforce their dedication to their path. So the books stress a lot about creating sigils. However, you can also use existing ones. They have a lot of power. They're there. Why not use them? That's the way I think of. So I have my moon pendant on. So the moon shape is a significant one for me because I do a lot of lunar work. Okay. Other existing, let's see, I mentioned the astrological stuff. I'm not going to go into all that because we want to get to some other things. I don't want this to go too long. Otherwise, people are not going to sit through the whole class or the whole recording. Runes are another thing that is often used. Now, runes come into the category of an alphabet, but they are also very much used for magical purposes individually without spelling out a word. So that's why they're getting a special class of their own. And they're also used in divination, so that they're kind of different from some of the other stuff. Okay, I wanted to talk especially about pagan symbols. What did I do with that piece of paper? Here it is. Okay. So we're going to start with the elements, and obviously we're going to start with the pentacle. I was having trouble remembering pentagram, pentacle, which is which. Well, the pentacle has a circle. Is it one of the circle around it? There's a letter C in pentacle. There's no C in pentagram. C, circle. That's how I remember that. I need tricks like that. Okay, these are the symbols for the elements. Okay, so you know that the points of the pentacle represent the 4 elements plus spirit. So we have air and fire and water and earth. Okay, those are so you could, so like on the one that I showed you, we use these sigil for water. Now there's been different people talking about why those symbols. Well, the water one, actually I saw this, I happened to watch the Da Vinci Code because it was free on Amazon Prime the other night. And I didn't expect to see sigils in there, but they were there. How timely is that? So the water one, actually, I didn't even think of this, but the Jewish 6-pointed star is created from the sigils for water and fire. In fact, it's extremely pagan because the water is, the sigil actually resembles a cup. And think of the fire. Fire also is aligned with metal. Think of that as the point of a dagger. So think of the dagger to the cup. We got the great right there, right? And you put those two together, one on top of each other, the 6-pointed star. Which came first? I don't know. I kind of think the 6-point star might have come first, but how about that? That's kind of significant. You can be creative and create your own sigils for the elements. Here's a couple that I found. One's for wind, one's for earth. You know, wind I can see just kind of doing a kind of a loopy thing. You could think of something blowing in the breeze. Earth could be a leaf. Think of a tree. Fire could be a flame. Water could be like the sign for Aquarius, the zagged line like waves, or whatever you come up with. So those elements, now the elements themselves have correspondences. Oh, I do have that right at hand, I think. Nope. I'm disorganized because I had this backdrop issue and I couldn't find anything. So here's some more versions of the elemental symbols. So we have the round ones here. Sun is often portrayed as a circle with a dot in it, and the moon is kind of open. I think that one is the earth. Earth, water, fire, and then I guess air is the open one. These are more symbolic. That kind of looks like a tree, right? Water. Okay. Whatever kind of drawings you come up with. Now they have, where are they? Okay, I got my pages out of order. Apologize. I'm not as organized as I hoped to be. I spent all day organizing, and here I am. I had backdrop issues, and I'm not organized. But I think you know that each of the particular elements have special correspondences. There's different trees that correspond to each one. There's animals that correspond to different ones. There's colors, certainly. Like air is yellow and fire is red, water is blue, and earth is brown or green. So you're familiar with those. There's other correspondences too. So the colors are certainly something that can be used in your choice of what to use to scribe your sigil as well. Other paths that are under the umbrella of paganism have their own special symbols. If you wore a Thor's hammer, that would identify you as asatru or a heathen. That's a special symbol to those practitioners. a Triskelion or a Triskel or um, the all those three-pointed things, trifecta, all those three-pointed things that I can't remember the names of because I don't work with them very often. There's many Celtic sigils that can be used for that kind of direction. Hecate's wheel is something that Greek people who follow the Greek gods might use. Hecate's wheel. There's a triple goddess. A lot of people who are goddess worshippers will use the full moon with the two crescent moons, that symbol for the maiden mother crone. The hot eye of Horus or the eye of Ra is something that might be used if you work with the Egyptian pantheon, and so on. There's also a lot of symbols in other religions that we might also use. For example, I don't have it handy because I got disorganization back there. I don't know if you can even see this. I have this lovely little string of charms. This is called, oh, you can see it. Okay. This is called a hamsa. And a hamsa is a 5-pointed hand with an eye in it. And this is a very powerful sigil to a lot of people from the Hindu religion and from others. So it's actually found in many other cultures, and it has to do with good fortune and good luck and preventing the evil eye or keeping away harm. So that's a very powerful one as well. Now, I want to open it up to you a little bit, so I'm going to take the spotlight off if I can. There we go. Okay, here's everybody, and we're going to go back to gallery view. There we are. Hello. So I would like to know what other symbols or sigils have significant meaning for you that you might use if you were creating a talisman. Any ideas? Or maybe I've just given you a whole lot of stuff to think about, huh? Let me share a few more of my talisman. This one. What's that?
It took me a second to get my sound on again, but
okay.
I wanted to show a couple of examples.
Good.
My partner gave me for Valentine's Day 2 things. This Wayfinder.
Oh, I have one of those.
Runes on it.
That's
and
awesome.
On the back.
Oh, cool. Now that's got all kinds of stuff on there.
Yeah.
It's got like a Thor's hammer. It's got those Celtic things. Let me see the other side again. Those are runes on the outside, are they?
Yeah.
They are runes.
Yeah.
And then the wheel on the inside, I recognize that. That is something that's commonly used in dilemma. Mm-hmm. I have a pendant like that, but I don't have it handy. Mm-hmm. That's awesome. That's like pulling in a lot of powerful good stuff.
Yeah. And then the other thing she got me is this phoenix necklace, which symbolizes a few things. But me and my dad has passed away now, but we lived together in Phoenix, and he had a company, Phoenix Pro Advisory. He was an accountant, and I kind of want to follow in his footsteps. So it's
I love the Phoenix. I love the Phoenix.
For me, yeah.
Yeah. I worked with a group here in the Jackson area called Circle of the Phoenix because we literally rose out of the ashes of 2 or 3 different pagan groups that didn't make it. And we got together and we rose out of the ashes, literally. They crashed and burned. I wanted to point out this moon. Cassie's seen this, but I gotta take it off. This has got something else on there. It's got a wire wrapping that is the tree of life.
Mm-hmm.
Like a tree. How cool is that?
Really pretty.
So the tree of life symbol, that's a very powerful one that I really love on a lot of things. I know Cassie likes that one too.
I do. I also like the pentacle a whole lot. That's what mine is. And it's got the triskelion in the center of the pentacle. But one that would be really important to me would also, it's got the witch's circle, but I love the feathers.
It's pretty.
That come down, and then I've got the horned moon pentacle.
I love that. Yeah, I've seen pictures of that. That's awesome.
So mine tend to be tattoos. I've got 13 of them. So
Right.
they end up
That's great.
finding their place. And that's what I'm working on. One of my cross stitch pictures is also the triple moon goddess, or the triple moon for the goddess. So
They're
those
very
are
powerful.
Mm-hmm.
Like, here's an example of a talisman that I made for some moon rite that I did. And I had my intentions, and I don't mind if you see them, because they're pretty, standard ones. But the sun was in Aquarius and the moon was in Libra. Oh, you know what? Duh, that represents me. I forgot. Because my sun was Aquarius. I am Aquarian, and then my moon was in Libra. And that's a sigil that I made out of my initials that represents me. And then I just wrote on there my intention: be grateful, be positive, be kind. And then I ended up with a pentacle. So that's really, really simple. It's on a piece of orange paper, just kind of, pulled out a color piece of paper. I could have picked a better, I guess orange is kind of like a happy color. So I guess that would work, but very, very simple. It represents me. And, okay. That one's got a lot going on. So that is our first class. And I'm going to stop the recording now. I thank you for attending. We will continue to talk for a little bit. I really, really appreciate your coming. I think we're going to have a good time. I'm really looking forward to sharing more with you. And I think we're going to have a lot of fun. So thank you.